Hello, my dear student. In this video, we are going to learn all about present perfect and past simple. Let's start with the present perfect. We use present perfect when we refer to an action that has been completed. What interests us most is the result of this action. For example, she has washed the car. It's clean now. With the present perfect, we are not interested in the duration of the action, but in the fact that it has been completed. For instance, he has typed 6 letters today. Let's look at the structure of present perfect. In the affirmative or positive sentences, we use object plus the auxiliary verb have or has and the main verb if it's regular with the ending of d or ed, if it's irregular, past participle, the third column of the irregular verbs. For example, I have already cooked dinner. In the negative sentences, we use the negative participle not after the auxiliary verbs of have or has. For example, she has not read this book yet. And the last form of interrogative or question sentences, we put the auxiliary verb of have and has in the first place. For example, have you already cooked dinner? And the answer might be, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Let's look at some time markers of present perfect that will identify and help you to form this tense. These are already, just, never, ever, always, that come before the main verbs. For example, have you ever traveled to another country? Or she has already tidied her bed, her room. Another time markers such as yet, lately, recently, for ages, many times, today, this morning, this evening, for, since, for ages, so far, and so on, go at the end of the sentences. For example, he hasn't done his homework yet. They haven't been to the theater for ages. Let's look at the past simple usage. We use the past simple for finished past actions. For example, the game finished at 8:30. Also, when we refer to habits or actions that happened often in the past. For example, I did karate when I was 10 years old. We often use past simple to refer to state that influence in the past. For instance, he lived here for 2 years. And also to describe actions that happened consequently or one after another in the past. For instance, she opened the door, entered the room, and took off her coat. Let's look at some structures of past simple. For example, in the affirmative sentences, we use object plus the verb of irregular verbs with the endings d or ed or irregular verbs on the second column of the lists. For example, we watched TV last night. In the negative sentences, we put the participle not after the auxiliary verb did. For instance, he didn't go swimming yesterday. In the question sentences, we form with the auxiliary verb in the first place. For example, did you watch TV last night? Yes, I did. No, I didn't, for the short answers. Let's consider the time markers of past simple. So they are yesterday. For example, I saw Ellen yesterday. The day before yesterday, for instance, he called his mom the day before yesterday. last week or last month, last year. For example, she went to London last year, or 2 hours ago. For instance, they played tennis 2 hours ago. Let's consider the spelling of the irregular verbs in past simple. So pay attention that some regular verbs end in ed but have some spelling changes in the past. For example, the verb travel will be double L at the end after before the adding ed, or the verb stop will double the last letter P just because of the closed syllable of the verb. For example, he traveled to Spain last summer. Also, the verbs such as marry, study, which ends with the consonant plus Y at the end, will change the letter Y into I plus ED. For example, Mark studied at this university 2 years ago. So, what is the difference between present perfect or past simple? Use the present perfect and not the past simple to talk about past experiences and recent past actions when we don't specify a time. And use past simple, not present perfect, to ask or talk about finished actions in the past when the time is mentioned or understood. We often use a past time expression. Let's look at some examples. I've been to Madrid twice. So there is an experience of being in that place. But in the sentences, I went there in 1998 and 2002, there is two occasions that happened in the past. Or in the sentence, I've bought a new computer. There is no information about when and where it happens, but in the sentence, I bought it last Saturday, there is an exact time of this event. So don't forget to practice after watching this video. I hope this video is useful for you. And that's all for today. Bye for now.